Welcome to RSCH503, Research Methods in Biostatistics, a 3-credit graduate course offered by Drexel University College of Nursing and Health Professions. A literature review is central to all scholarly work. It is an organized written presentation of what the researcher discovers on the topic of interest in the scholarly literature. Relevant literature on a researcher's problem area, selected variables, target population, and setting provides the structure of what is known, and may help to uncover gaps in knowledge. The literature includes all written sources relevant to the research topic. Scholarly research focuses on primary, peer-reviewed professional literature. Researchers and students learning the research process must avoid sources that are not scholarly, with particular attention to online resources. The literature review summarizes published research on the topic of interest. As well, the researcher synthesizes the known research as it relates to the study to be undertaken. Research publications, particularly those with impressive impact factors, are included in the literature review. Nursing Research, a prestigious professional journal launched in 1952, has a distinguished record in the history of nursing science. It has an impact factor of 1.356. Sigma Theta Tau, the International Honor Society of Nursing, publishes the Journal of Nursing Scholarship with a current impact factor of 1.616. The impact factor is a measure of the frequency with which the average article in a journal has been cited in a particular year. The journal citation reports also list journals and their impact factors and rating in the context of their specific fields. Again, peer-reviewed scholarly work forms the foundation of the literature review. There are at least 4 reasons for a nurse to conduct a literature review. First, graduate nursing students may conduct a literature review as a course requirement. For example, a student may be asked to generate a literature review on either a specified topic or a topic of individual interest. Second, graduate nursing students may complete either a thesis or a capstone project that includes a substantial literature review. Third, a literature review is part of the formal research proposal and subsequent report included in a doctoral program. And fourth, practicing nurses may include a substantive literature review as part of proposals to healthcare administrators for implementation of change projects. To summarize, the literature review in quantitative research identifies what is known in the area of interest, identifies gaps in knowledge, and provides guidance in designing planned research undertaken to fill a gap in knowledge. The literature review directs the development and implementation of a study. Peer review is conducted to ensure that rigorous standards of the scientific process are followed in publication of research reports. Peer review ensures the following. First, peer review upholds the integrity of a professional journal by identifying invalid research and helping to maintain the quality of the journal. Second, peer review fulfills a sense of obligation to the professional community and their own area of research. Third, peer review establishes relationships with reputable colleagues and their affiliated journals and increases their opportunities to join an editorial board. And fourth, peer review enables reciprocal professional courtesy, as authors and reviewers are often interchangeable roles. As reviewer, researchers repay the same courtesy they receive as authors. The literature includes a myriad of sources: journal articles, monographs, textbooks, government reports, and more, many of which may be reviewed if relevant. In reviewing published literature, distinguish between primary sources and secondary sources. Primary sources are written by the person or persons who originated or who is or are responsible for generating the ideas published. Others who summarize or quote content from primary sources write secondary sources. A scholarly literature review focuses primarily on primary sources. When conducting a literature review for a research study, one must be careful to review what are called landmark studies. A good example of a landmark study is Linda Aiken's study on hospital nurse staffing and patient mortality, nurse burnout, and job dissatisfaction. This study, published in 2002 by the Journal of the American Medical Association, remains a relevant study today in 2017. For additional information in landmark nursing studies, go to the website of the United States Department of Health and Human Services, the National Institutes of Health. In undertaking a literature review, a researcher must face several practical considerations. Among them, 1. Time required versus time available to conduct a thorough review. 2. Are finances available to obtain primary resources? 3. How many sources must be reviewed? Hint: review all landmark studies and the key studies published within the past 10 years. And finally, are research abstracts available? Hint: review abstracts of relevant studies and the full articles as warranted. Most importantly, sophisticated researchers understand the importance of the library, a collegial librarian as a resource, and full knowledge of all relevant databases. Librarians can help investigators design a search plan. Researchers employ databases that are relevant to their research topic. This slide presents the most popular and useful databases employed by nurse researchers, including CINAHL, Medline, IM, PubMed, PsycInfo, and others. Again, your academic health science librarian can advise nurse researchers on relevant databases. In conducting a database search for the relevant literature on a research topic of interest, the investigator identifies keywords used to structure the search. Variables, interventions, target populations, etc. The more specific the keywords, the more useful are the search outcomes. Complex searches combine two or more concepts to cull out a more streamlined listing of relevant literature. Carefully read the material in your textbook regarding computer searches, particularly the information on the use of Boolean operators to narrow searches. See page 130 of your current textbook. Librarians are extremely valuable in assisting researchers in this process. There are 3 general stages to a thorough literature review. First, the investigator searches the relevant literature using database and other sources. Secondly, the investigator takes time to process the literature, to make sense of the obtained research findings, and to organize the literature into meaningful clusters. And lastly, the investigator writes the literature review. The quality of the final output is dependent on the quality of the input and throughput. For each reference included in the literature review section of a research report or article, the investigator is expected to provide all of the data included on this slide: author, year, purpose of study, framework, sample and sampling plan, measurement plan, intervention, statistical analyses and results, and findings. In publications of research studies, the literature review section is usually presented as follows. First, an introduction to the literature, for example, purpose, problem statement. Second, discussion of relevant theoretical literature, for example, concepts and theories associated with the research purpose. Third, explication of empirical literature to see the current state of knowledge in the area of research interest. And lastly, a concise summary of current knowledge in the research area. Pulling it all together in a cogent, concise summary is critical to succinct scholarly publications. How does a professional reviewing a research report or article determine the quality of a published literature review? 4 criteria exist for this purpose. First, does the review adequately cover the research in this area? Second, does the investigator understand the relevant literature through a concise synthesis? Third, is the review coherent? Is a logical argument made to support the need for the research? In other words, does the review support the presence of the gap in knowledge that the investigator purports to exist? This presentation was prepared for graduate nursing students at Drexel University College of Nursing and Health Professions. The primary book used in this research course is The Practice of Nursing Research, Appraisal, Synthesis, and Generation of Evidence, 2017 edition, by Jennifer R. Gray, Susan K. Grove, and Suzanne Sutherland. This book is published by Elsevier Saunders, St. Louis, Missouri.